welcome everybody to the sixth News from the Lab. My name is Rachel and I'm Head of Alumni Relations. Now today we're in for a real treat. We're going to be looking at the difficult balance between academic freedom, industrial installations and cybersecurity. And to moderate today, I'm delighted to introduce you all to our colleague, Hannah Short. So Hannah obtained a master's degree in physics, specializing in astrophysics at Imperial College London in the UK and the Universidad de La Laguna in Spain before moving into software development and computer engineering. She's worked in both commercial and research organizations to define and implement their IT services. Hannah is currently based at the European Organization for Nuclear Research, so here at CERN, where she contributes to various projects in trust, identity, and security for research collaborations. And she's also very much involved in the alumni network, helping us with managing our alumni accounts. So I'm going to hand over to Hannah. Before I do that, we'll have approximately 45 minutes presentation from Stefan. If you would like to, you'll be invited to ask your questions either via the chat, or you can also come on cam, but Hannah's going to be moderating that session for us. So all that remains to be said is for me to pass over to Hannah to welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us, and please, Hannah, take it away.
Great, thank you very much, Rachel. So yeah, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Stefan Lueders, who I expect quite a few of you know from your time at CERN. Stefan has been CERN's Computer Security Officer since 2009. And I've been working with Stefan since I joined CERN, so 6 and a bit years ago now. And Stefan started off in physics, has a PhD in physics, and then moved into computer engineering. And now he's very well embedded in the IT department at CERN. And as well as being highly influential at CERN, Stefan works hand in hand with other research organizations and with industry, and always trying to strive towards improving the global response against online threats. And he was recently awarded the SC Magazine's, which is a security publication, their Computer Security Officer of the Year. So he's very well known in the security scene, both at CERN and externally. So we've already seen that Stefan does recognize a few names and faces from the participants today, and I expect others of you will have fond memories of being at CERN and hearing Stefan's presentations, which are always highly thought-provoking and entertaining as well. So today, as Rachel said, Stefan will present for about 45 minutes. If you have a question that pops into your head during the presentation, just put it in the chat. I'll collate the questions if we have duplicates, and then we'll come back to all of those at the end. So please don't hesitate to ask your questions as we're going along in the chat. And then we'll open up for verbal questions once Stefan has finished his slides. So Stefan, over to you.
Good. Thank you very much, Hannah. Thank you very much, Rachel. Happy and glad to being here. I will spend, as you said, the next 45 minutes on talking about how you can mess up your life. And I will take CERN as an example. So it's not only how you mess up your life, but how you mess up your life and how that of your organization. Taking as an example, my organization, CERN, or your ex-organization, CERN, how you could have done badly for computer security. So here is your center of life, at least your center of digital life. At least this one is mine. This is my laptop. So think of your laptop you're using at this very moment. What your laptop means to me, it means to you in terms of your digital life. This is your laptop which you're using for work. This might be your laptop you're using also at home. This is the laptop which is storing all your photos, your videos, your documents. This is a laptop which you are doing internet banking, where you're going on Instagram, Facebook, and all the other things. So this is your digital center of life. Think once more, if I now ask you to reinstall your center of life, your center of digital life, how sweaty are your palms are getting? How sweaty are your head getting? Just reinstall it now, delete everything. If you're getting really sweaty, maybe it's time to go tonight to MediaMarkt and buy an external hard disk to have a backup. But you see already, this is the center of your life. And here's another center of your life, your smartphone. So we're talking about the security of smartphones and laptops, and then how this is going over to your organization. Your account at the moment, your laptop is, as I said, the center of your life. And if I own this, if I take it over, I own you. I own your life. I can monitor what you're doing. Maybe tonight enabling a web camera and watching you in your living room, watching Netflix, or listening to your discussions at the dinner table, or just sifting through your photos, videos, and documents, copying them, putting them somewhere in the internet, in the cloud. And then, funny as I am, I would just send an email and blackmailing you to pay me some money called ransom. So that if you pay me the ransom, you might get your pictures back. If you don't get your money, I might just decide to publish everything on the internet. So think about once more about your life. Think about your password. We'll talk a lot about your laptop and about passwords, but I like this very famous joke here. You can name your new puppy, dog, whatever you want to, but you need to have it with something to remember, because that will be your first security question for the rest of your life. Remember those questions? What was the first name of your dog, or what was the brand of your first car, and so on. So talking about computer security, you, your life, and your smartphone are living in symbiosis. So this is why digital security, computer security is important for you at home. And of course, it's also important for organizations like CERN, because all our backbone is based on digital. The IT is everywhere for running accelerators, running experiments, running the computer center, running the users network, and so on. Just a small hint here. I put a small recommendation here. The link below is publicly visible. I hope you get the slides, and then you can read something more about this particular subject for each of the slides. So why am I worried? Because the digital reality is such that there are groups of attackers, nation state sponsored, mafia-like criminals, or even script kiddies, which are attacking us and you. Here's an example, Silent Librarian. It's a group of attackers which were targeting, and this is here in the news, the New York University, but they're also targeting something like 300 universities worldwide in 22 countries. And so far, they created something like $3.4 billion as a cost. Here's another example, APT40, which is allegedly a Chinese cyber espionage group, which is dedicatedly attacking the research and education sector. And this is where CERN is situated. Research and education, maybe non-government, but definitely also technology organization. So those are the adversaries we're talking about. It is not anymore the little script kiddies which are taking over your computer. Those are groups which are trying to take over the organization. So you are under attack, your family is under attack, your organization is under attack, and definitely, yes, CERN is also under attack. This is why cybersecurity, at least for me, is important. So give you a very, very simple example of the end of last year, there was a very nice exchange between Fabiola and some of her colleagues of the top management of CERN. Dear, and this is now the replacement of the name of the department head, are you working or on vacation? I need some help with a logistical service transfer matter. This is what Fabiola is saying. And of course, helpful as we are, this department head was replying, hi, Fabiola, I'm at work. At the moment, I am whatever he's doing. And of course, now the communication continues. Fabiola is replying, apologies for the troubles. I need to have you to transfer something like 3,000 euros for CERN logistic support payment. And that is a fairly low budget. So no problem, I can transfer the money. Please let me have the detail. Here you go with the details. Thank you, very last reply. This is the account details for the transfer, and you find all the details here. Have a closer look. Mails, emails are like normal letters. You can put more or less every sender name on your normal letter if you just put the post stamp on that and send it off. And the same thing happens here. Fabiola Gianotti never sent those emails. They have been spoofed, seemingly to use the email address of Fabiola, but all the replies went to boardpress@gmail.com. You spot the difference? So this department head was not actually talking to Fabiola, but he was talking to somebody impersonating Fabiola to convince the department head to make the transaction of only $3,000. Why only 3,000 euros? Why only 3,000 euros? Because you don't expect a fraud with 3,000 euros. You're easily able to pay it. And then if hundreds of people are paying, then you make lots of fortune with that money. Here it got caught, fortunately, and was reported to us, so we were able to check and block this. But this is why people, you, me, need to be skeptical, need to be vigilant and asking for help if this is really needed. So in doubt, just contact, if you're still working for CERN, us as computer security, or to the security officer of your esteemed organization. So wrapping up on computer security, there is no 100% security. If somebody is selling you something which is 100% secure, he's a fraud, or he wants to really sell you something as a service, or maybe he's working for an insurance. So I don't believe in that one. Security more or less is as good as the weakest link. And unfortunately, the weakest link is based on human tissue. It is us humans which are the problem. Security, computer security is mainly, and you will see this through the rest of my slides, a sociological problem and less a technological problem. So if you look at the advantage on attacks, the advantage is definitely with the attacker. Thinking of CERN, on the defense side, I have to protect something like 15,000 websites, 1.5 million web pages. Most of them, you know. We have to protect all the control systems, all the computing servers and computer center, all the 40,000 devices, all the 20,000 accounts. Look at those numbers, all of them, and they need to be protected anytime. Now, next weekend, and during the Christmas shutdown. The attacker just needs to find one web page which is vulnerable, one device which is compromisable, one account where the password is getting lost at any time. You see this imbalance. This is the problem of cybersecurity. It is not an on par anymore. We are fighting, and I'm saying we all are fighting the attackers to make our organizations as secure as possible. So here is now your first objective. If you're seeing a lion in the desert, and we're a group of people like on this call, so all of us together, all of us 39 people together, we see the lion. What is your objective? You run, of course. You don't need to be the first. Definitely, you should not be the last, because the last one is being caught by the lion. And this is the problem we're having. The attackers, they come with money, knowledge, time, and there are groups which are really focused to break into an organization like CERN. So what I'm telling you now in the next applies to you at home, and bring it back to your organization. And this is what the same thing I'm telling for people who are still working in the organization, how to keep our assets, your assets, as secure as possible. So starting with the very, very simple blunder, look at those 3 pictures. One is the Weather Channel, one is the football championship in Brazil, and one is at the fire brigade at CERN. And if you look close at my badly made pictures, you can figure out the passwords are somehow all public on those photos. And I don't care about the Weather Channel, I don't care about the football championship, but for CERN, unfortunately, this picture was used in the CERN bulletin long time ago. In the first instance, it was used in a fashion where everybody was able to read the password. And this is where the blunder starts. The passwords are personal secret. They shouldn't be shared and not exposed. If I just can have one wish at CERN, is really making sure that the passwords at CERN are not getting lost. Because if a password is getting lost, think of for your job. If I have your password, I have access to your laptop. What can I do with your laptop? If I have access to your password at CERN, I can log into CERN. If you're working for a control system, I might log into your control system. And if I'm evil now, I might even abuse your control system and create some havoc. And this is the risk which you're facing and we need to protect you. If I have your CERN password, I can go and spawn up virtual machines and create damage in the computer center. Or I can download all the documentaries which we have with Elsevier and Springer as in the digital library, and sell them on the dark market. Or if you're running an IT service, I can misuse your password to misconfigure this IT service or even bring it on its knees. So here's another example which we are fighting is so-called phishing emails, people asking for your password in clear text emails or asking you for clicking on links in clear text emails. Those are the standard threats. This seems to be very, very simple, but if I have a wish, the simple wish is that everybody who is clicking on a link is thinking first before clicking. This link here, for example, is a fake link. It will never go to the account verification of PayPal. This one might infect your account or your computer, or this one might be abused to steal your password, like the previous one. As I said, emails can be fake, very, very simple. And this is where they're leading to. The CERN single sign-on page, but hosted at the Centrum in Scheveningen-Dorp, the small town of Scheveningen in the Netherlands, or the single sign-on page on Laser Care, Portugal. So this is how the attackers are working, just trying to lure you in to disclose your password. And if I have your password, once more, with password, I have access to your digital life. And once I have access to your digital life, I can make your life really, really complicated. Here's another example, cern.cf/user/password. We are cern.ch. Would you have spotted the difference? I will come back to that in a second. So we're telling people, you might remember this from your previous time, to stop, to think, and not to click on links, because with that, you might just infect your computer. Let's spot the differences. This is another attack campaign against the organization. Dear Stefan, please see attached on your input on your to your results, to our results. Brilliant. Yes, completely clear what they are talking of. Maybe not. The same from Sonia. Please see the attached for your 2019 contract amendment request, which I haven't done. But did you already spot the difference? What is wrong here? Maybe I just move ahead a little bit. Here's a Word document. Please see the attached with the confidential design report. Everything is clear, of course. Or if you look here from Ralph, please see attached the IT security, the new IT security measures. Brilliantly. Yes, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Or last but not least, another report on the pension fund balance situation. If you look closer and if you look at the senders, I said senders can be spoofed. One is coming from @cern.ch, fine. Anne is coming from cern.ch. Sonia is coming from cern.org, which is not me. Michelle is coming from CERM with an M at the end @ch, which is definitely not me. And if you look at Federico, the last mail, cm.ch, the M is looking like an RN. So if you have a very, very small font, you might not even spot the difference. All of those mails are fake. All of those are giving you a Word document or a PDF document, which is just asking you to click on the link. And if you click on the link, then you fell for a scam of the computer security team just to educate you why it's dangerous to click on emails which are not yours. So coming back to the same subject, this is the CERN clicking campaign to educate people why clicking on emails is most likely not the perfect idea if the email is not really intended to you. And here on the slide, you find some hints how you can identify emails which are not intended for you. Just be suspicious. We analyzed our clicking and we are getting something like 20% clicking rate at CERN. So 20% of the people at CERN are clicking on those emails. I can create any click rate. I can create an email later today and say, look here, dear alumni, thank you very much for joining my presentation. Please find the slides here and please find the video here. How many of you will click? I guess I can get something like 80% click rate. And the click rate is more or less independent. Here we studied between the different professional categories at CERN, between physicists, engineers, technical manual workers, and administration, whether they're clicking more or less. And within the statistical errors, you see all of them are more or less clicking the same time. Also, if we analyze between males and females, there is no difference. It doesn't matter. What matters is only the timing. Somebody's busy, email is coming in, and then people just telling us, yes, I saw that, and I just clicked because I wanted to get rid of the email. So this is how it's happening. We are trying to block this. If somebody is reporting this to us, we can block the links so that if you click on the link, you will not end up on a malicious web page, but you will end up on a web page which is the one which I showed before, giving you a warning. Unfortunately, CERN allows to forward the emails. So you might have your mails coming to @cern.ch and you forward this to gmail.com. We have no capabilities at blocking with Gmail. So you see here, we can only protect 50% of the cases because the other 50% are forwards going onto the internet to some remote university or to Google. And of course, we have to be quick. Here you can see the timeline of the campaign of 2019, starting around 5 minutes to 9 in the morning. And it took something like 90 minutes until 10:25 to send all the emails. We were sending something like 24,000 emails to everybody who is owning an account. And you can see the people are starting opening the emails, clicking on the contents, and we're getting the first reports by users usually within 10 minutes, which means that in 10 minutes, we got this first warnings, and this is the moment where we can start to deploying our potential countermeasures, and they might take some implementation. So between the first 15 and 20 minutes, this is where we can protect the organization. So this is why it's valuable that those emails are reported to us. And you can see everything what's coming afterwards then is not a threat to the organization. So this is why reporting is very, very important, but you need to be very quick. And in reactions, there are some people who notice this. I received the email below with the mail address @cern.com. Well done. Unfortunately, I clicked the link. So again, be suspicious and maybe just ask somebody. This seems to be very well done phishing email in the name of the CERN department IT. Well, maybe you should issue a warning. Indeed, this is what we're doing if this wouldn't have been a campaign, but something real. Some people are even dissecting the email and telling us what is wrong. But the best one I've seen so far was, I didn't click. Well done. But I forwarded it to a colleague and he clicked to see the page. Why do you need enemies if you get colleagues like this one? So coming back to that, basic thing is if you're getting an email, just be suspicious, be vigilant and careful. If the email is coming from from the Deutsche Telekom, but you don't have a subscription with Deutsche Telekom, just don't click. If the email is in German, but you're used to speak German, just don't click. If the email is promising you some like naked pictures from Britney Spears or Justin Bieber, no, that will not happen. Just don't click. And if you just got divorced and you get a love letter of your ex, even that will not happen. So once more, don't click. Be vigilant, be careful. This is my wish for Christmas. I'm wishing this for a long time for Christmas already. So maybe I'm not hurt or I haven't been a brave boy throughout the year. This is what's happening if you're clicking. This is how your background on your Windows computer or eventually on your MacBook might look like when you clicked on the wrong link. Think once more about the center of your life, your laptop. In this case, your laptop is ransomware, which means that all your important files, your films, your videos, your photos, your documents are all encrypted. And in that case, you have 2 days, 24 hours, and 34 minutes left to pay the Bitcoins, $300, or it will be raised. And if you don't pay within 6 days, 23 hours, and 34 minutes, all the data will be lost, erased, and gone. Think once more, if you're getting sweaty palms on your hands, time to buy a hard disk. Here's another example from one of the computers at CERN. It's one of the two. I just have those two screenshots of the cases happened at CERN. It's something more recent, but you can see on the background all the white boxes, all the white files. I'm not showing you the Word logo or the Excel logo anymore. They're all encrypted. And if you don't pay a decent amount of Bitcoins, usually it's $300, and then the data might all be gone. So, and this is happening. A couple of years ago, Maastricht University in the Netherlands has been attacked. And here it was not just a laptop, it was the whole IT infrastructure. All Windows systems, including the mail service, have been ransomware encrypted by attackers. The same happened to the German Ruhr University in Bochum, where they say the large part of the IT infrastructure had to be taken out of operation, including email, VPN tunnel, and the internal service portal. Just think of this. This is a threat to the organization, yours, but also to CERN. We're working hard to get the protection in place, because the question is not if CERN will be subject to ransomware attack, but when. As you've seen by the APT30 group I mentioned before, by Silent Liberian, they are targeting our sector. So what is important? Have an independent backup. We're working heavily on that one to make sure that our backups are independent and strong enough that they cannot be subject to the ransomware attack. And then, of course, if you are subject to ransomware attack, do not pay. The guarantee that you're getting your decryption key and your data back is minimum. And if you paid, the attackers might just raise the payment. If you paid once, why don't you pay a second time and maybe a third time? So we can have a long discussion about payments of ransomware, but the general advice from security professionals is do not pay. It will have negative impact on the reputation of your organization. Your bank will not help you because your bank is subject to US law. US law forbids the engagement in criminal activities. If the attackers, if you pay, the attackers will make this public so everybody knows. So there might be other attackers piggybacking on that one. And if they're piggybacking on that one, you have to pay even more money. And last but not least, think of the reputation. With paying ransom, you are financing criminal activities, which might be also used in other corners. Other corners might be drugs or even child abuse. So paying is definitely not the right way to go. But coming back to passwords, here's one of the screens in one of the accelerators at CERN, which I find very funny. The user account is CERN and the password hint is, where are we? And maybe you just get, you give it a chance and use the chat here and make a guess. What is the password? I give you a very small hint. The password has 4 letters, no symbols, no numbers. Oh, thank you very much, Rachel. It's wrong because it's small letters. So Rachel didn't make it, but you see, your password again is very important. Make your passwords non-guessable. We are all coming out of the scientific world. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Brilliant password. I am trying together with Hannah, and I'm very, very grateful for the work done by Hannah and by many others to roll out multi-factor authentication at CERN where possible. Using a small token. Here is my small token. We call this a YubiKey. It's like a keyword with one button. It's giving you a one-time password. For those ones who don't have a USB port, you can also use an application on your smartphone like Google Authenticator, which is creating a one-time password. And that would be used to log into CERN. Technically, this is not complicated, but user-wise, think of the user community at CERN. Now you have to type in your password, and maybe once every 12 hours, you have to also provide your second factor, which is, of course, from the usability point of view, a little bit detrimental. It's much more complicated. On the other hand, how many of you are using multi-factor for Google, for your bank, for Facebook, for Instagram? If you don't, shame on you. Multi-factor authentication gives you the ultimate protection to your password. So enable it wherever you can. It's a very, very good recommendation from my side. So let's do a little bit of a quiz. Here are devices which we just got, and some of you might have worked with those devices. What is this? Here we get National Instruments. Please enter the administrator password for this device. The default is pass. Thank you very much, National Instruments. Here's another one. Default username is admin, and the password is 1234. Thank you very much, Sequoia. Here is a frequency generator, which doesn't have even any access control. So if you know what his name or which IP address is, you can change frequencies. Might be fun. I've heard that frequencies are very important for running our accelerators with regards to the radio frequency systems. So that might be fun. Here's a power control, which is more or less able to switch on and off your fridge at home or something else, on, off, reset, batch mode. No protection on top of that one. Here's the PLC. I've seen that Jacques is with us. Salut Jacques, j'espère que tu vas bien. This is a PLC. It came with some configuration for HTTP access rights, but it's not encrypted, which means that the password will go over the wire in a completely plain text fashion. So everybody who has access to the wire can see what the password is. So this is the Internet of Things. We got lots of those devices at CERN. We're scanning those devices. We are fighting vendors to get the defaults ready and well configured. And I'm still counting on my engineers at CERN here to set up the device in a secure fashion. But it's hard. It is damn hard. Here's a web camera, and not at this very moment when I took the picture, but before I was able to monitor what this guy is doing on his laptop, because this web camera is not protected. And of course, this has privacy implication. But the worst case I had so far is this machine here. That's one of the coffee machines you can find in CERN's restaurant number 1 and in restaurant number 2. I'm not sure about restaurant number 3, but maybe somebody can confirm. If you click on the top left logo of the company Franke, you get the login screen towards this device, and it's asking you for the password. And Franke well documented on the internet the password. For the owner, it's 1111, but for the operator, it's 7777. And with 7777, you can get your coffee for free. So here again, devices where the password has not been shared, not been changed. And fortunately to this, the computer security team had a very nice time last year for getting the coffee for free, at least for a while, until we reported this to the owners. So think once more of your devices, protect the access, change any default password. Again, my Christmas list, we are running around the same thing, passwords. And if you deploy web cameras, respect privacy at the workspace. That is very, very important organization. More passwords. Here is a security researcher, Ruben Santamata, writing a post involving CERN, LHC, and SCADA. And passwords. SCADA means control system. What he found is a document telling me how to connect from outside CERN into CERN using which password and which username, and giving him access to the cryo system of the LHC. This is Kron Jules here. He just had access as a monitor. Unfortunately, was reporting this to us. But if that would have been something more, you can create really, really problems. So again, if you're working still on control system, avoid shared accounts, make sure that when people are leaving, that you change the password and make sure that the password is well controlled and protected. Ideally, every access should be using personal accounts. And passwords are everywhere. One last slide on passwords, but you see the password is important. If you happen to program today on the past, make sure that in your code, if you have to put some passwords in your code, or private tokens, or some keys, or some certificates, they must not be shared with the world. Here, somebody funny from CERN was copy-pasting all his code onto Pastebin, which is just a bulletin board on the internet. Some others are leaving their code completely readable on repositories like Git or others, where people can then just find the password and abuse those passwords. So once more, avoid secrets in public repositories. I hope not everybody is understand that not everybody uses programming, but if you're programming, there's even one more threat. Now going away from passwords, it is called supply chain attack. This is a supply chain attack in the IT world. So it is not like compromising compromising Bosch to break to destroy the brakes so that they can't deliver to BMW anymore. Here it is about software. And software is about the internet, downloading libraries from the internet, downloading packages from the internet, downloading virtual machines from the internet, downloading containers from the internet. But the internet is Wild West. Do you know what you're downloading? Maybe you just download malicious code, like here, this REST client was published with a malicious backdoor, meaning it was published in such a way that it could be abused. Here's another one, some packages using NPM were opening shells on Linux and Windows systems. And last but not least, earlier this year, a security researcher managed to break into Netflix, Amazon, and other big companies with their agreement, with their permission, to show that this supply chain attack is something real. What he did is he was just deploying similar packages as being used at Netflix, giving them the same name, and the intelligence of how software today is built is the software is looking for the most recent version, and if the most recent version is being found on the internet, it's just downloading this most recent version from the internet. That's more or less like you going to a French market and you're always going to the same shop buying the same cheese without realizing that your preferred cheese seller on the market has changed, and now you're getting crappy cheese and you're paying expensive. So get the picture. If you're developing code, watch what you automatically download and import. It's a very complex topic here, but really, this is my biggest fear I have today for attacking the organization. And this is how we're setting up web pages. Cross-site scripting is a kind of attack against web pages. CERN has 1.5 million web pages. What you do here is at the top bar, instead of giving the phone number or the name of somebody like me to get my telephone number, just type in Stefan, you get my telephone number. You can insert some code, and this code is executed by your computer, compromising your computer in the worst case. Here, you're lucky it's just popping up a window. This is a badly conceived web page. This is another badly conceived web page. Here's the third one where you see that it has been pawned. Here's the fourth one, and even the fifth one. We get multitudes of those web pages, and the main mistake of the developers are they never sanitized, they never validated the input. If you're expecting a name, why would you expect hyphens, brackets, underscores, or bigger or smaller signs or slashes? If you're expecting number, why would you accept the letters, and so on? This must be rejected. All the crap must just be gone. For those who have never seen this video, it's a little bit older. I will just show you within 90 seconds how a compromise of a web server at CERN happened in 2009. It's already a while ago, but this video is very, very instructive. The video is based on two main flaws of the manager of the server. The first one was not filtering the input at the URL bar. I come to this in a second. And the second flaw was not having updated the server. So I will now try to stop my share and go for the video. Give me a second. Can somebody confirm that you can see now my video?
Yes, it looks good.
Okay, so let's play this. I might stop it in between to give some comments, but just look at the top of the URL bar where it's marked LAR or liquid argon number 12 and see what the attacker is doing. First, he's trying if you can insert some of the URL text into the web page, and he can inject LAR1234 onto the web page, or he can even inject arbitrary HTML code with the normal HTML formatting. But worse, he can execute commands, and this is where it's getting interesting. He was able to figure out who is running the web server. So it's run by Apache, which is a typical web server run at CERN in the past. And he can figure out something more. He can run another command, which is giving him the uptime of the web server. And that is very interesting. You can see in the very first line that today, in this video, it's the 26th of November, 2009. And you can see a little bit down that this server has been updated, has been booted the last time on January 19th, 2009. So there are 10 months in between where this web server was not shut down. The web server was not shut down. It was not been kept up to date. If your laptop wants to be kept up to date, make sure it has auto update enabled on your Mac, on your Linux system, on your Windows system. Here it has not. And this is what the attacker is now abusing. The first thing what the attacker is doing is he's making his life much more simple. At the moment, it's a pain editing everything in this URL bar over there. So what he's doing instead is he's downloading some own created backdoor onto this web server. He's calling this this backdoor backdoor.pl, and he's opening at home a small terminal, small window with which he can now interact with the web server. So this is run by a colleague of mine called Roman. And now Roman is trying to have the callback from the web server to his evil home location. Let him do this, just execute it, just hit enter, thank you very much. So the web server is of course executing it, like the web server was executing the comments before, and waiting for Roman to check. Now Roman is Apache on this particular web server. So the last thing he has to do is looking on the internet, whether for this particular Linux system, where some vulnerabilities on the market. And he found one, which is called Wunderbar Emporium. He's downloading this, which is taking a couple of seconds. And with this exploit, he can now break the web server to escape from Apache and getting the access of the administrator, which in the Linux world is called root. He's becoming God. So let him execute this. Here he's executing it, Wunderbar_Emporium. And within 3, 2, 1, he is becoming the master of the universe. He's root, he's the administrator, he's the god of this web server. He can now do any shit he wants to do with his web server, including attacking similar web servers or breaking deeper into the organization. So think once more, this is the holy grail. This is like the password to your computer. Here, the attacker managed from the outside world, from the internet, to have a direct way into one of our web servers being run at CERN. So let me go back to my presentation. I hope that one is it. I hope I'm back.
Yeah, looks good.
Good. So thank you very much. This is, and if you happen to still run web servers, or even if you're running some small systems at home, again, sanitize and validate your input and keep your software up to date. Give your laptop, give your iPhone, give your smartphone, give your Android system, your tablets a chance to make an update. Yes, it sucks if they have to reboot, but such is the way of security. And I bet you are not working 24/7. So during the night, give your device time to reboot and put it on the same to the safe space. Another problem we are facing at CERN very often is license infringements. I'm just dealing with a case, but I come to this in a second. Here's an email I'm getting. Usually this is an email which is not very complicated. It's asking, has identified some serious infringement on the CERN network concerning the illegal use of a certain software. And they're asking for a meeting. This was at the beginning of the COVID pandemic in March 2020. Here's another example, and the price tag here is asking in compensation for something like $500,000 of euros for the software abuse between 2016 and 2019. So this is a huge problem. The current case I'm dealing with, I had a meeting with those guys last week, and they were serious enough to put on the slides the price tag of 10 million Swiss francs for abuse. So for you at home, but also in the organizations where you're now employed by, use just paid for licenses. Make sure that you own the licenses, make sure that licenses are yours or that one of your organization, because it might come with a very, very expensive price tag if you approach like I am with such letters. Note that open source does not necessarily mean it is for free. Freeware is, open source is not necessarily. So take care on those differentiations. And the problems are everywhere, by the way. Here's a very nice webpage from EDH. You remember EDH? Sorry, you are on the wrong webpage. And there's Mr. Beam saying, oh, not me. But this picture, we haven't had the right to use this picture. Fortunately, nothing happened. The CERN Aquarium Club wanted to use this nice fish from Futurama, I guess. But again, they didn't ask to use it for the copyright. Here, the picture of this nice woman checking some, don't know what she's checking. This picture was not copyrighted. We didn't buy it. And here, the owner of the picture came back to CERN and asked for compensation. The figure was, this was a 5-figure Swiss franc number for paying this picture. Here's another funny one, a study of boosted W jets and Higgs jets with this silicon, I'm lost there, silicon, whatever detector, I'm sorry. And if you look, it's using the skyline of Chicago. The skyline of Chicago is a picture which you can download from the internet, subject to a copyright. And the owner found this presentation and asked for some compensation. There are even some web pages in Germany which are for recipes. And on this recipe web page, you find potatoes or potatoes, don't know one or the other, and some livers. The business model of those recipe cooking web page is not providing you with cooking recipes. Behind this is a lawyer's company which is monitoring the download of the pictures. And when you've downloaded the picture, they will approach you like they approached CERN, because somebody used livers and potatoes for explaining how the antiproton rate is working and what the experiments are doing there. Or don't tell me what they were using there, but the pictures were in, and the lawyer's company came to us and saying, look here, you're using a liver and potatoes, and now you have to pay a license fee to us, which is that amount of money. We just told them if they want to complain, they have to go through the Swiss police, and that's shut them up. But usually this is the way to go. So if you're having still presentations, make sure you're using them. You bought them via big stock photo or iStock photo, or you use your royalty-free ones, which you can download from commons at wikimedia.org. But that is a problem again for the organization. Not the biggest one, but another one. The violation of copyrights in movies is another one, where I'm getting the email saying, look here, this company swears under penalty of perjury that we have the right to act in their name, and somebody downloaded Quantum of Solace or whatever else film and shared this on the CERN network. Again, for you at home, you might be somehow protected by the laws of your country. Usually the sharing of music videos and so on is not permitted, in particular if you're on a business network. For CERN, this was a huge problem in the past. Some of you might recall this. It's less today a problem thanks to Netflix and others, because now you don't need to use file sharing applications anymore. You get the files and the movies for free. What is the problem is the abuse of CERN's email address. You still get a CERN alumni email address. Some of you have also a real CERN email address, but this is intended for professional business. Yes, you can use it for personal business, but personal business does not mean you can use your CERN email address to sign up to web pages like this one. No, I will not read the text. If you can't read that, this is then too bad for you. But this is a web page for finding mating partners. And Ashley Madison got hacked. Ashley Madison got hacked, and that got all public. So all the accounts used with Ashley Madison and your preferences and your address and your telephone number and your contacts and everything else got published. And among this, 6 addresses of @cern.ch were found. This can have a negative impact on the organization, on the reputation of the organization. Fortunately here, and this was on television, Télévision Suisse Romand, which was giving a very small abstract on that one. Fortunately or unfortunately, you can judge yourself. We are just number 4 after the United Nations, after the University in Lausanne, after the ETH in Zurich, and then CERN comes. So maybe good for us. But this is a problem because you can be blackmailed. Think of somebody learns that you have signed up to this web page, figures out the email address, and then figures out the email address of your wife and trying to blackmail you and telling you, dear Stefan, I've seen you signed up to Ashley Madison. What about I tell your wife? Or what I tell your employee that you did this? Maybe you pay me some money, or you give me some confidential documents. So this is what happened to American universities. You can see on the screenshot a little bit above, 26,000 GMX email addresses, and even above are military email addresses from military personnel in the US. Now think of that one, how much a risk this is for those organizations. So split professional duties and personal business, do not mix them, and do not use your professional email address for such endeavors if you want to engage on those ones. Last but not least, this is the most technical slide I have, this is what the computer security team at CERN is doing. We are monitoring. I hope you agree that we are not Big Brother. We're doing monitoring, but we're doing the monitoring for the sake of the good. So we're looking at network traffic. We're looking at the computer center, what's happening there. We're looking at the logging scheme. How are you logging in? When are you logging in? We're taking everything and comparing this to so-called indicators of compromise, to indicators of evil business. Web pages which are malicious, IP addresses which are malicious, certain file hashes which are malicious. So just seeing whether your computer are accessing malicious parts. And if they do, if they do, we will notify you. So this is how the CERN firewall is looking like. We just got it into operation beginning of the summer, and this is now giving the primary protection of the organization. There's another device which we're using. It's called an email detonation chamber. Every single email coming through CERN with an attachment is going through this detonation chamber. The detonation chamber is then trying to pretend being a user, some human body, opening the attachment and seeing whether the attachment is just displaying a PDF, or maybe the PDF is doing something malicious in the background. And depending on that, we will just block the email and quarantine it. So those are protective means which we are generating for you. But usually what's happening is we measure something, we detect something, we massage this. This is the little bit in the center. But most important is you are getting an email, and some of you might recall, you get an email, suspicious activity is detected on your device, and now please handle your problem or come back to the computer security team. So ask for assistance wherever you are. Computer security might not be your core business. If it's not, ask for help. No, don't be ashamed. Just ask. Asking questions is never something which is evil or bad. If you're getting bad answers, then the bad side is with the person who gave the answer. So just dare. We're doing this. We're helping CERN. We're helping you as alumni. So you get a question, just drop us an email. We're helping the WLCG and all the attached sites on the worldwide LHC computing grid. And we're helping academic communities and the higher physics community. And unfortunately, because of the global circumstances for the moment, we are also helping Swiss hospitals with a computer security response. And just last week on Wednesday, we had some guys in Lyon providing assistance to 30 Lyonnais hospitals in France. Don't want to do that, not because I don't want to help, but because of the pandemic. I think those hospitals need to have more help because they're essential for our well-being. And with this, I would like to sum up. I'm a little bit over time. Once more, don't share your password, please. That is my first Christmas wish. If I have one and you choose a complex password, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, brilliant. Don't use that one, it's mine, but you find something similar. Keep your systems up to date, at home, at work, whatever system you're owning, make sure that it's always kept up to date. I understand if it's a control system or system in operations, it is difficult or even harder, but still give it some time, because the alternative is shutting down your system for much longer. And think of some of the systems at CERN, if they're shut down for longer, we can more or less switch off the light and all go for an extended Christmas shutdown period. When having an attachment or link, stop, think, just don't click. If it's not for you, it is not for you, and just go ahead. For developers, don't reinvent the wheel. Ask people, use existing services. If you have a web service, use web service. If you get a database team, ask them to get a database, and be very careful when importing code. And last but not least, fair enough, ask an expert, get a book, or train yourself. That is something which is easily done. So for the weekend, literature must be, the first thing is about the social aspect. The humans are very, very reluctant to change. You see this today. I need to get infected. I don't want to. I need to change my habits and wear a mask. I don't want to. This is not our kind. We are really, really reluctant to change. But computer security is a marathon. You have to change again and again and again. So that is a book which is explaining why change is important. Who Moved My Cheese? Spencer Johnson. Costs $5 at your airport bookshop. Animal Farm, very important for security. If I can generate security for 100% of my population, that would be great. But there are always some animals which are more special than others, and I have exceptions. And exceptions are the killer for computer security. The Art of War, Sun Tzu, comes without no saying. Still a nice read, even if he's talking about physical war. Something like 2,000 years ago, it still applies. You can translate to the digital world. And last but not least, George Orwell, 1984. We are way beyond that one. Today, what George Orwell was thinking of, this didn't happen. It's much, much worse. And with this, I'm done. Thank you very much for having me here. I hand over to Hannah.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Great. So we already have a couple of questions in the chat, but does anybody have a question that they would like to say verbally, either Charles or Adam or somebody else? And just raise your hand. If not, I will read out the first question, which is from Charles. So thank you very much for this. Do you use fingerprint, iris recognition, or any similar ID methods?
Thanks, Charles, for that question. No, for the moment, we do not use this for computer security. We're using iris recognition for entering the LHC and the experimental areas in terms of radio protection and safety. But for security, we're intending to have the password and something we own, like your smartphone or the YubiKey. But we're not thinking of using a fingerprint recognition or similar methods, because it's very, very hard to roll this out on a plethora of different devices. If you're just talking about your smartphone, yes, fingerprinting comes for free if everybody would have just a smartphone. But unfortunately, we have smartphones and Androids and all the other things. So it's, I don't see how I can really roll this out in a fashion that it is maintainable and manageable and user-friendly. So nope, not in computer security. There you are. Hi, Charles.
Thank you for that answer. But as somebody who's now retired and working in isolation, I worked at CERN a very long time ago. What do you think about these methods? I mean, do you regard them as secure or can be imitated or what?
This depends more on the implementation. The very first implementations, for example, of taking the picture of the face, like this face recognition of iPhone, they were able to spoof them using just pictures. But nowadays, they're quite advanced. It really depends where it's implemented, how it's implemented. So the fingerprint solution on your smartphone, I don't know whether you're using Android or you're using an iPhone, that is something which is bulletproof, more or less. You have to make
any fingerprint left when you get to my age.
Say again?
If you have any fingerprint left when you get to my age, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I understand that. But then you have to memorize your password. Maybe you memorize.
Yeah, I use passwords. That's why.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk.
Thank you very much for the question. We'll go for Trivan next because you have your hand up, and then we'll come back to Adam's question from the chat.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Stefan, for this excellent talk, but I must also confess that it has scared me stiff. I'm also recently retired and I work a lot from home. If I may mention, I use a Windows system. Apart from all the great tips you have given, I know you have a huge responsibility to protect this huge system at CERN. But apart from malicious contents in email attachments, what are the common back doors for home computing systems? What else do I have to be careful of, please?
I think I've been quite thorough here. If you keep your system up to date at home, that is the best you can do. You can't do better because everything what is unknown to you. It's only known to the attacker. So you have no chance to protect you against that one. So keep your system up to date, number one. The second is, if you have emails, attachments, or web pages which are dodgy, just don't click. Check if somebody who might tell you whether this is good. There are some tools for this one. There are people who can help you on that one. So just be reluctant. Just think of on the street, if somebody is approaching you on the street and giving you a little parcel and saying, look here, can you carry this parcel in the lobby of the next hotel? Yes, it's ticking, but don't worry, can you carry this in the next hotel lobby? Would you accept it? No, you won't, because I'm a stranger to you. But people with attachments, they just, oh, look, nice kitties and nice kittens, just click on the link and see what's happening. So just refrain your curiosity if you're in doubt. That would be the next thing. Of course, your password, just type your password in where you're really sure that this is the real web page where this password belongs to. And there are some helps. Multi-factor, again, is definitely the panacea for that one. And last but not least, if everything fails, have an external hard disk with a copy of your beloved data. Do this backup to your own schedule. Maybe once a week, maybe once a month. How much risk appetite you have. If you do it once a month, you just have to accept that in worst case, you might have lost all the data of the last month because your backup is too far away. But that gives you all the certainty. If something else is happening and your computer is completely screwed up, you still get the data. And I think the data is important. Your device, you can rebuy it.
Thank you very much for your wisdom and your expertise. Many thanks.
Thank you, Trivan, for the question. We'll go next to Adam's question from the chat, which is there any chance to identify the hackers in order to punish them? Have we had cases like that where we've been able to actually find out who's doing it and involve law enforcement, I suppose?
Yeah, that is a very, very good question. Unfortunately, the answer is very difficult because the attacks will never happen directly. So if I want to attack your laptop, I might first attack the small little laptop of the grandma of my sister. And then I go from this laptop of the grandma and attack the pharmacy in another country. Maybe I take the grandma in Germany, now I attack the pharmacy in France. From the pharmacy in France, I will attack a university in the UK. And from the UK university, I might then infiltrate CERN. So now think of the complexity. I will just see the last hop coming from the UK. So now I need to engage with the UK to figure out this hop which came from the pharmacy in France. So the second hop and the third hop to Germany. And then the hop to the attacker, which might come even from some Eastern country. So all those hubs make it such that you have to more or less talk to all the legal law enforcement people in all of those different countries, which make it very, very hard. We had cases which we followed up. We have ties with Interpol, we have ties with the FBI, with the CIA, where we can engage with. And there are, I didn't publish this here in this presentation, but there are some success cases where the FBI was able to apprehend attackers when they were physically in certain countries and put them in jail. One attacker came from Russia, was apprehended in Finland, extradited into the US, and then put in jail in the US because he was attacking, among many others, also the worldwide LHC computing grid. We haven't interacted with the FBI there, but it was their action. I have nothing to do with those ones. So, yeah, for very severe infringements, now more infringements on the CERN side. Yes, we have engaged with local police, with the French police and the Swiss police, where people on CERN side have done severe violations of our CERN computing rules, about the CERN cybersecurity rules. And again, there, those people have been more or less fired from the organization, dismissed, and then being handed over to the police in Switzerland or in France. So in some cases we can, usually we can attribute. So we had a nation state against CERN in nation state attack against CERN in 2015. The way how they did the attack, the pattern how the tools they're using, the pattern how they attack the organization, we have been able to identify from which nation it was. So it was some like silent librarian kind, APT, whatever. So we're able to do attribution, but to punish them, it is really, really hard. If you look at the media, there is not lots of punishment going on because you really need to get the engagement of the big ones like Google, like Microsoft, like Interpol, like the FBI. And in most of the cases, it's just not happening.
Thank you for the question, Adam. That was great. And we have Kayo as well with your hand up.
Hi, Stefan. Great talk as always. I noticed, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think you talked about password managers. I was wondering if there's a particular reason why you didn't, or you know what you can say about that.
Yes, I did not talk about password managers because I believe that the people here on the call, and I believe this really strongly, are very intelligent people. So I'm on the low end, and intelligent people should be able to memorize a couple of passwords. My grandma was able to memorize hundreds of telephone numbers and to whom the telephone number belonged, and even telling me which one I have to dial to connect to somebody. So I still believe we can memorize passwords. But yes, if you want to use the password managers, there are different password managers on the market, which you can either install on your laptop, which means that you get everything in your property, but if laptop is gone, stolen or encrypted, you are sitting in a little bit of a shitty situation unless you have a backup. Or you can use cloud-based password managers, but then you have to trust the cloud-based service. And sometimes those cloud-based services are getting compromised, and then you're in another shitty situation. So breaking into your mind, I think is still the most complicated thing. Nobody managed to extract the password from the mind unless convincing you with a gun to express the password. But apart from that, at least you're conscious then to know that your password has been stolen. So, but yes, there are password managers on the market.
I'm actually surprised to hear that, because I know some security experts, at least, they give the advice that you shouldn't trust your memory because you won't be able to memorize a large enough number of good enough passwords, and phone numbers are fairly more simple.
This is a very, very good argument. There's a huge discussion about passwords. I distinguish between important passwords and non-important passwords. For CERN, where you got your personal life, your professional life. For Amazon, where you got your credit card information. For your bank, where you got your money. There you need to have different passwords. But subscribing for a newsletter, you can use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because you have not left anything important behind. There's no personal information, there's no money, no credit card information, nothing. So just for subscribing, unfortunately on the web, you need now to subscribe to everything. But if you don't leave any information which is of importance to you, you can use the same password, or you can use a very simple password, or you even forget about the password, just you click on the reset my password once in a while because you're accessing this web page every now and then. So I think you have to distinguish, and then I think it boils down that maybe you just have something like 10 or 15 different passwords to memorize. That might be possible. For CERN, maybe in detail, we stopped the annual password change because of that. People who are required to change the password every year, they might choose a more weak password because they have to keep it to mind. Stefan 2020, Stefan 2021, or whatever they construct. We gave up on that one. Today, you don't need to change your password anymore. You just keep the password which you have. But what we're doing is we're monitoring. Hannah is logging in from the University of Barcelona. She's getting an email saying, Hannah, you logged in from the University of Barcelona. Was it you? Google is doing the same thing. Facebook is doing the same thing. But what we also do is we're watching your password, and we're watching so-called password dumps of databases of sites which have been hacked. So if some site like Ashley Madison is hacked, the passwords are becoming public. So you get a huge list of passwords which are all burned. So now we're comparing your passwords with those lists. And if you find out that you're using the same passwords like anybody else, somebody else whose password has been burned, then we'll take Kayo. Your password is burned. Now you have to change it. You got 3 more logins, but then you have to change your password or you will get blocked. So that is then the prevention which you put in place, more monitoring than enforcing.
Great, thank you very much.
Welcome, thank you for the question.
We have one more question in the chat from Jacques, which is what confidence can we have in cloud file storage? They all say we are safe, but should we be avoiding using on cloud file storage?
Merci beaucoup, Jacques. That is a very, very, very diverse question. So I will not give you a straight answer. If you believe in privacy, sharing your documents with Google or with Dropbox or others, you need to be convinced that their privacy models is aligned with your privacy model. So if you happen to use Google, Google is known that it's scanning your mails for certain keywords to monetize their free service in one way. If you don't pay for the service, your data is the currency. So this is the business model. You just have to face it. If you don't want this, then you need to go for a paid for service like ProtonMail. You pay for that one, but if you pay for that one, at least they can guarantee that they will not look at your mails. So there you got 2 cloud services. One is privacy preserving, one is less privacy preserving. If you don't believe in all of those, then you need to store your data at home, but then you need to have an external hard disk to have a backup and make sure that the hard disk is not stored at your home, because I hope it will never happen. But if your house is burning down, you don't lose your laptop and your copy. You have stored your copy by a friend, somebody you trust, or by somebody else. So it's not very, 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 very clear which is the best answer there. So to say we are safe and we should all use the cloud, you can't avoid the cloud. So avoid using the cloud. I think this depends what you want to do. If you want just to share some documents which are public at all, fair enough. If you want to show some pictures of you and your family, depending on the pictures, you can use the cloud. If there are things which you really do not want to see out, then you keep it on your laptop. But then you need to make sure that your laptop is never, ever getting compromised. So I'm sorry, I can't give you a more clear answer to that one.
If I can add on to what Stefan's saying, with a lot of security, it's always a balance between usability, cost, and security. And if you really need to be using a cloud platform, then maybe there's more towards the usability than the security or the cost part. So it's always a balance. And like you say, there's no 100% security. We have time for 1 or 2 more questions, and then we really have to wrap up. Does anybody have anything they would like to ask? Rachel. Oh, sorry, we have one in the chat as well. So Rachel first, and then the one from the chat.
Stefan, it was an amazing presentation. I too feel that I never want to go on the internet again. But no, you've given some great tips, so I now know what needs to be done. I wanted to know, with all of your experience, have you ever thought about either writing like a thriller which includes all of your experience, or perhaps consulting with you know, some film directors or something like that, because we saw at Second Collisions we had a physicist that consults on physics and how you recreate black holes. I wonder if that's something you've ever thought about doing.
No, I never thought about that one. So if you want to bring me in touch with somebody, there are some brilliant films out on those subjects. What I did is, just a second, the links which I gave you come all from the CERN Bulletin. And just for fun, I produced a book with all the bulletin articles in here. Unfortunately, this book has just one copy. So this is how far we went. So there's one book of all the articles. If you want to read the bulletin articles, there's a PDF on the webpage, and all the bulletin articles are in one PDF, so you don't need to scroll through all the links. For the scare, don't be scared. If you're reasonable, if you apply measures which you happen to apply in the real world, like not taking a ticking small parcel from somebody you don't know, not just going around saying, oh, my PIN number of my credit card is 1234. You don't do those things. So if you don't do this thing in real life, just don't do the things in your digital life. And the same thing applies then for your computer. Keeping it up to date. If you use standard software, you are pooling up with many others. If you used to have an Android phone on iPhone, usually there you're more or less fine, because what's happening to others will happen to you. So Apple makes a big effort, or Samsung makes a big effort, or Google makes a big effort to protect you.
I feel more reassured. Thank you.
So we have a question from Paul back on the topic of password managers. So can my data in a password manager really be inappropriately revealed, or is the probability vanishingly small?
Hi, Paul. How's life? Again, it's all based on trust. Security is based on trust. So if you have a password manager of a company whom you trust, and you need to trust them, then in principle you can be sure that nothing bad is happening. But it depends on the quality. Go for the big ones. KeePass, OnePass. There are a couple of which are good ones which you can use. But I think it goes along with everything else. Microsoft is making a tremendous effort to get you to the operating system secure, but they never managed 100%. The same for Apple with iOS devices and so on. So yes, there is a risk where your password manager, in particular the cloud, might get compromised. Happened to one in the past, and this was definitely not the best publicity for them. So yeah, I still believe have few passwords which are really important for you for different sites with different contents, and for everything else where you have more or less nothing personal, no money, no credit card information behind, just use something more simple which you can memorize easily. Great.
Thank you very much. And thank you to Lena, who put a fascinating looking link to a study in the chat as well, saying that on average employees spend a total of 2.25 days within 60 days on password and memory related activities, which yeah, fascinating. Okay. Well, thank you so much for all the questions. And thank you for everybody for your attention and for staying to the end to engage with Stefan. And I think we can end it there. We're a little bit over time, so sorry about that. But thank you very much for joining, and I'll hand back over to Rachel.
Thank you. Thanks. So a huge thank you to both Hannah and Stefan. It was a really, really insightful talk. So for those of you who'd like to watch it again, want to refresh your memory on the various different recommendations that Stefan gave us, you'll be able to find the recording quite shortly. And for those, when we actually end the event, you should actually get a short survey. So we'd be really grateful if you'd complete the survey and give us your ideas as well for other news from the lab that you would like to see featured next year, 2022 already. But we have one more news from the lab, which is taking place on the 9th of December at the usual time of 6 o'clock CET. And this will be the challenges and perspectives for target systems of high intensity and high energy machines. And that will be with Marco Calviani. So all that remains to be said is, once again, thank you to both Hannah and Stefan. Thank you to you also for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you all soon. Have a great evening. Thank you very much.